So how do I do an intro to a video again? It's been a long time since I've done one of these. Welcome back everyone to more from the Sableyes. I'm Mitch and I am back for more Pokemon TCG deck profiles today. We're going to take a look at Metal Togekiss, a really interesting controlling kind of variant when we can heal a bunch, deal a bunch of damage, and try and manipulate your opponent and predict what they're going to do so that they cannot take knockouts. Let's jump over onto PTCGO and look at the list. It's a pretty simple concept, this one. Togekiss VMAX with 310 HP has the attack Max Glide, which deals 120 damage for 2 colorless energy, which is pretty good, but it also allows you to search your deck for 2 cards and put them into your hand. That's any 2 cards. You don't need to show your opponent. You can predict what they're going to do and then grab the 2 cards to counter them exactly. Also, another good thing about this card is the fact that it is resistant to fighting, and with Rapid Strike and Single Strike Urshifu rampant on the ladder at the moment, this could be a really neat way to try and deal with them. We're going to try and power up with Metal Energy, and we've got 3 copies of the Metal Transfer Bronzong to help us move those energies around. Obviously, with cards like Zacian V to help us draw, we can use Intrepid Sword to get our Metal Energy on there early. We can use things like Metal Saucer as well to get those energies on there. We can move them onto our Togekiss to get value out of our attack as early as turn 2. Also, since we can move those energies off with Bronzong, cards like Cheryl become really important, and this list plays 3 copies of that card so that we can move the energy off, heal the Togekiss, attack again, and even find another Cheryl for next turn. It's kind of similar to the Corviknight list, but imagine if with Corviknight, in every time you attacked, you could search more cards, right? It's really good. We also have an interesting card in Giant Bomb, which we can use to add some extra damage output to the list. 120 is kind of low, so we could potentially deal 180 more, and if our opponent does try and knock us out, then they will have to blow the bomb up. Apart from that, the list is really good. If you want to play it, it's down in the description. Let's check out some games. We've got ourselves a start. We've got a Togekiss in the active, we've got a Bronzor. We're going first, which is pretty good. Let's play that Bronzor down, attach an energy, and I think we can just quick ball away the Pokégear for a Zacian here, because that's going to help us draw some more cards. If we can find a Metal Energy off of this, that would be fantastic. We don't. We find a bunch of supporters, but that's okay. We also would have liked a Bronzong as well. Also, I'm sorry that I haven't been posting content. I just kind of disappeared for a week and didn't tell you why, and you know what? That's fine. Sometimes you just need to take a break. I went across back to Adelaide for a little bit, spent some time with family and friends, and I had a good time. And I just didn't tell anyone. And I was like, what's the worst that could happen? And I also lost my voice, which was fun. So that's why I sound a little bit croaky, but that's okay. We're going to keep talking anyway. Also, whilst you're here, go down below and like the video. I don't know, like it if you like Togekiss. Whatever. And also, check out the Discord, the Twitter, that kind of stuff that's down there, because I think the links are working. And there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment, so definitely recommend doing that. Also, check out the community tab, because there should be a stream schedule going up pretty soon as well. Let's see what we can do here. We can just top deck the energy. That seems pretty good. We'll throw down the Togekiss, and to be honest, I feel like Marnie's a good option here. We're going to be able to knock this Mewtwo out. It's only got 120 HP. It's not amazing for us, but it's going to start us going, which is what we want. I'm thinking Max Glide here. We'll take the knockout, and we're probably going to go looking for a couple of pieces. I like the idea of a Bronzong. We don't have one of those yet. We could grab like a Cheryl. It's kind of an awkward one. This is always a difficult decision, because there's a whole bunch of stuff we could get, right? We could get literally anything here. I think Cheryl would probably be pretty safe. We'll go with that, because we can obviously, if we keep this hand, we can move the energy off with Bronzong and then use Cheryl, because our opponent it's impossible for them to knock this Togekiss out this turn. The only issue may be if we do get knocked out, if they gust up the Zacian, that could be a problem. Although, to be fair, if they gust the Zacian up, they're not using Welder. So I actually think that I've inadvertently made an incredibly strong play. So, surprise, surprise, occasionally I do intelligent things. Which is, you know, it's whatever. So our opponent here has set up kind of a decent turn. They've got the Blacephalon, so this is the Tempozard list. I prefer to call it Tempozard over Cracephalon or just Blounds, because it's not just Blounds anymore. People are just saying, oh, it's just Blounds, it's just got different attackers. No, it's not just Blounds. Blounds had 4 Blounds. This has 2 Blounds, or at least it may do. I don't know. I don't know what Ingegegna Saitama... That's a very difficult name to say. I don't know what list they're playing, but that's okay. They're grabbing an Oricorio GX here, giving us a whole bunch of interesting options to knock out. The good thing for us is that Blacephalon is also 120 HP, so we could potentially knock that out if we need to. I like the idea of doing that because we get ourselves the opportunity to win the game a little bit faster that way. Looks like we are going to have boss's orders happen here, and I think, yeah, they're just going to knock the Bronzor out, and you know what? It's fine. They didn't do too much. They've taken a prize. We're all right. We can quick ball away a Metal Energy. We'll grab the other Bronzor. We can play that down. If they do knock that out, that's whatever. We'll attach to the Zacian and we'll hit for 120 and do some more searching. I love that it asks you. It says, would you like to search a deck? Yeah, of course I would. Let's grab Reset Stamp. I like Chaotic Swell as well. Get rid of the frustrating Giant Hearth. They probably aren't taking a knockout this turn, but again, they could gust the Zacian and use Outrage. That would knock them out. If they do that, I can play Swell, I can play Reset Stamp, and then hit them with Max Glide again. Or, if they hit into me, I've got the Bronzong again, we've got the energy, etc, etc. It's all looking good. Also, a really, really cool card that has seen a lot of play from Battle Styles is Escape Rope. I would 100% recommend grabbing those and putting them in your deck, because one of the things that people underestimate about Escape Rope is how powerful that switching effect can be in gusting up something your opponent doesn't want to be in the active. And it also is a skill-based card, surprisingly enough, because it forces your opponent to make a decision on your turn, which can be really, really good for you. So if they make a wrong decision, you can punish it, or if they've set their bench up in a way like this, for example, where my opponent kind of has a weak bench with not a lot going on, then we can potentially use Escape Rope, and this is kind of a similar thing here. I'm just going to give them the Zacian, I think, because they've used the Theon to try and get rid of my options. They're going to Outrage into the Zacian, and this is kind of what we'd planned for, right? We kind of planned for this. So we've got the Stamp, we've got the Chaotic Swell, so they're not going to be able to draw stuff. We're not knocking them out next turn. They may be able to knock me out. Unlikely, but they may be able to. We'll Reset Stamp them to 3. We'll hit into them for 120, and then we will grab a couple of other cards. If they happen to have Welder Double Energy, then whatever, it's fine. What am I going to get here? I think that Giant Bomb is probably worth grabbing, because I can sense a Blacephalon coming at some point. We may need another Zacian or another Togekiss. I like the Zacian, means that we could potentially have another semi-powerful attacker. That's the thing, right? Togekiss does 120, Zacian does 230, 350 is going to kill everything, right? So if you have that backup attacker, then you're going to be okay in the end. They've bumped the stadium, and they happen to have Switch, which means that they're going for their Jirachi here. So it's a good thing I played the Swell down, because if I didn't, then they would be able to welder onto this Reshizard and try and get the knockout. Unfortunately for them, there has not been any real pressure put on me this turn, which is good. I'm going to chuck the Giant Bomb on the active, because they could potentially knock me out next turn if everything goes their way. I think we hold this and just max... Oh, actually, we could retreat into the Zacian, to be honest, and then use Escape Rope and force them to make that decision, right? So they can give me one of their useless Pokemon, like Crobat, Dedenne, or Oricorio, or they could give me one of their attackers for me to knock out, because the Jirachi is actually more useful for them in the active. So that's a skill-based thing, right? So now this Dedenne, if it gets stuck in the active, then I've guaranteed myself 2 free prizes, which means that Reshizard is going to be an easy knockout. If it doesn't, it's fine, whatever. They've used a resource to get out. They haven't been able to use Jirachi. I am going to grab, I think the second escape rope seems strong. I like another Metal Saucer, maybe a boss instead of the escape rope. And let's just grab another Giant Bomb, just in case, because again, they could very easily create some problems by knocking out this Togekiss. The Reshizard cannot knock the Togekiss out this turn, because if it does, then it dies, which is fantastic. The boss means that we can knock the Dedenne out, because I've already dealt damage to it. And if they choose to knock me out with the Blacephalon, then I can still gust out the Reshizard, potentially, at some point later in the game. But look at this, it's worked perfectly. Now they cannot use the Blown to knock me out, because they had to attach to the Dedenne. And yeah, we're getting there. See, here's the thing with this deck, right? This is a thinker's deck. This is a deck for people who like to actually think about what they're doing. I'm not particularly good at that. I make mistakes all the time. So you might be sitting there going, Mitch, you could have just done this and won the game. Well, yeah, probably. But it's one of those decks that people really enjoy because there is that skill to it, which is kind of missing from some of the other big threats in the format at the moment. Cards like ADP kind of limited people's ability to do that kind of stuff. Alright, so we've got Metal Saucer. This is actually fantastic. That top deck there almost guarantees us the ability to win this game. The question becomes, do I gust the Reshizard and knock it out, or the Dedenne and knock it out? I think the Blown might even be a better option. Let's just do that, because then I don't think that it's actually possible for them to knock out my Togekiss unless something crazy happens. Again, probably should have just gone for the Dedenne or the what's-majiggy. We'll grab Boss and Marnie. What I should have done, I was literally talking about it. What I should have done is I should have moved one of the energy to the Zacian, grabbed Boss and energy, and then gone, hey, whatever you send out, I'm just going to knock out the two Pokemon that have damaged. And I was too busy talking about how I don't do good thinking. I'm not a thinking man. I don't do good thoughts. And I've done myself in. But could be worse. Could absolutely be worse. Definitely should have moved the energy, though. God, that's a massive misplay. If they knock me out here, I'm in big trouble. Big trouble. Because I don't have another Togekiss. That's another thing that's good. What was that? I just smashed something on my desk. Another thing that's good about Togekiss is it's got free retreat. So if I had the foresight to get a second one down, that would be strong. Looks like they're going for Cramorant here as a potential way to knock out the Bronzong. And here's me immediately getting punished for not moving the energy to the Zacian. Should have done that. Bit of a silly move from me there. Welder onto the Cram, no doubt. Yes, okay. So they're going to go for the Bronzong. So that means I probably have to gust up the Reshizard next turn, or otherwise I'm likely to lose this game. I do at least have Reset Stamp though, so I can stamp my opponent to 2, which will be nice. We also have the option to Marnie if required. But yeah, would have just... They're going to go for the Reshizard. Oh no, they're going to do the Whirlpool Suction play again. Okay. Let's give them the Zacian, I guess. Because we can grab Mew, theoretically, to stop the Cram from being able to do anything. So they knock out the Zacian, we stamp them to 1. They didn't put the Jirachi back down, which is really good for us. All we need to do is find a Mew off of Professor's research, and we will stop this Cram from winning the game, which I like. Let's reset stamp. We are going to lose all of these good resources. We'll attach to the Togekiss, just because I should have moved energy off last time. Let's just take a look. Is the Mew there? The Mew is there. So I've got 1 Mew. I've got 2 Comms and 2 Quick Balls. So let's research. Hopefully we find it if we do, we're in a good spot. There's a Quick Ball. There's also another Togekiss, which I like. We can throw the Mew down. Now this Cramorant is no longer a threat. And we could potentially put the Togekiss down. We don't really need to, though, at this point, do we? Let's just Max Clyde, take the knockout, 3 prizes for us, and we will search our deck, because if we find ourselves a copy of... I don't know, do we really? We probably need the boss. And, well, I mean, if we boss, we win. And I think the last card we're going to grab is Escape Rope, just in case something funny happens, whether I gust up the Mew and we can't retreat it for whatever reason. I'm going to take 3 prizes here as well, so we may find some extra resources. I like that. There's that third Bronzor, which we may have needed. At this point, there's not a huge amount that our opponent can do. They can't knock out the active unless they have an absolutely insane turn. Like, they need Welder onto a Blacephalon, plus attachment, plus 7 energy. So they need 10 energy, a Blacephalon, and a Welder in the next turn. It could happen. Blounds does that, but I'm not confident in them. I think if I had have just done that Gust play, though, I would have just won. If I had just gusted up the Dedenne, I would have just won. Well played, they say. So it sounds like they aren't going to be able to get there. They're just going to spit shot the active. Well played. That was a good game. Probably gave my opponent a chance to win when I didn't have to, but that's okay. We gust out the Dedenne, we max glide, and we take a knockout. Thinking Man's deck. We don't need to search now. We'll just take our prize and win the game. Let's go and have another one. So again, we are going first. We've got a Zacian in the active, and it looks like we're playing up against Single Strike Urshifu. I told you that they were around. Let's grab ourselves a Bronzor. I will also quick ball away the escape rope to grab ourselves a Togekiss, because we need both of these cards down turn 1. We are also lucky in that we've got the Swell, which we can play. We've got the energy we can play. Let's use Intrepid Sword. No energy, but we do find a Bronzong, which is really, really good for us. We've got every option for supporter as well, so we are looking pretty solid here. Our opponent, though, is one of the few decks that can very easily one-shot our VMAX, so we will need to take a very, very close look at the cards that we're grabbing. We need to make sure that we are able to take knockouts on these Urshifus eventually. And I mean, dealing 120 damage, we need to 3-hit them, right? If we're only attacking with Togekiss, we need to 3-hit them. So we may need to go in with Zacian at some point in this matchup. Obviously, my preference is to attack with Togekiss because it means that we get to search our deck. But Zacian deals 230 damage, which is very, very strong. There's the laser focus, which was what I was worried about. Look at this, though. We've managed to find both of our stage 1s just randomly off of the top. Now we're looking for a switch and an energy. I'm disappointed that I got rid of the escape rope now. We don't have a switch, which means that we are just going to need to sit here. So I'm thinking this impact blow is going to deal 180. I might chuck the Giant Bomb on the active just to make it a little bit less enticing for our opponent to knock the Zacian out. We've found an energy as well. We may as well throw that onto the active, because if they don't knock the Zacian out, then we've got extra energy in play. If they do knock it out, they're going to take 180 damage in return. So that's pretty good for us. There's their VMAX. And they've also got the Memory Charm as well, which means that they will actually be able to attack with the Urshifu V's base attack for 180. So that's pretty good. But the thing that's good for us... Oh, they're actually going to boss. They're bossing the Bronzong. Okay, so that's fine by me. I actually don't mind that, because at the moment we don't really need Bronzong. We've got a Bronzor in hand. We can find another Bronzong if we need one. The thing that this is going to do is it's going to put our opponent on awkward pricing. It's going to mean that they've used resources that they didn't need to use, and it's going to give us an opportunity to keep our energy in play, which I like a lot. So, we wait and see. I can't believe how many energy this deck can get into play on turn 2. There's 5 of them there, and they've only used 1 Houndoom, which is insane to me. There's the second Urshi VMAX, so our prizes are being mapped for us. We're being given the opportunity to take knockouts. There's the beatdown. They're going to remove my Bronzong from the field. We're going to promote Togekiss and see how we go. Now, we've effectively got 340 HP, so it's almost impossible for our opponent to knock us out. But it is still possible. Let's research here. We'll get rid of this hand. We didn't need to stamp there. We've actually managed to find a Giant Bomb, which I really like. We could put that onto the active. I think putting it onto the Bronzor, though, might be better. Just because there's not a lot that our opponent can really do to screw us over, apart from going for the Bronzor. We'll attack, and let's find ourselves some cards. I like the idea of grabbing Mallow Lana, just in case they do attack into our Togekiss. Cheryl also seems pretty good, so we could, if we get the chance to use Bronzong, we can remove all of the damage from the active. We haven't actually done that yet. That's because our opponent hasn't actually attacked into our Togekisses. So, you know, be that as it may. If they attack into the Bronzor, then we can always go into the Zacian, attack for 230 and knock this Urshifu out, which would be really, really good. If otherwise, we can just retreat off of the Togekiss, to be honest, which I like. If they just hit into us here, then we will be in a good spot. There's the Tool Scrapper, but that's okay, to be honest. They could probably get around the Giant Bomb anyway by using Beatdown. They don't need to deal over 180 to knock that out, so maybe that was a bit of a waste. In the end, didn't matter. The Tool Scrapper would have dealt with it anyway. But here comes the Houndoom, so we're going to see another single strike energy onto the active here. That's impressive. They are currently dealing, what, 270, 290, 310 damage, minus the 30 with resistance, so they still need 2 more single strike energies, and since they've got one on the benched Urshi, they actually will not be able to knock me out. Now, I don't want them to attack me here. I feel like they are about to forget about resistance. I feel like that is a thing that happens all too often in Pokemon, is that you forget about resistance on cards that you don't see all the time. So my opponent hopefully doesn't think that he's doing 310 here. Hopefully he understands the situation. He is putting an extra single strike energy on the active, but that's actually not going to make the difference here, because there's only 300 damage that you're going to be dealing, so 10 damage short, which is pretty unfortunate. And now we're in a really commanding position, because we can attach to the Zacian, we can play down the Bronzong, which is really, really good. Let's retreat into our friend Zacian. We can Metal Transfer the energies from the Togekiss just to get them off of the Togekiss so that we can use Cheryl for free here. So we'll finish that off, we'll use Cheryl, heal that 300 damage off, and then we can move 2 of those energies back. Our opponent just concedes there. Fair enough too. Missing that knockout was going to be rough every day of the week. So a really, really cool deck list, a fantastic option for people if they want to try a more skill-based deck. I didn't perform as well as I could have in that video, but we still had a lot of fun, and that's the most important thing. Thank you very much for coming along, especially to my channel members who are constantly supporting, which is fantastic, even over the big long break we had. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Dadbod, Azazel, Fernando, Yolo, Diego, Stephen, Agent Abel, Austin, and Josiah, as well as all of the, all of the other people who are Mega Sableye members. Appreciate it. It costs less than a cup of coffee, so if you're interested in supporting even just a little bit, then jump down to the membership tab down below. Apart from that, follow Facebook and Twitter and all the other things, whatever. It's fine. Do whatever you want. It's your life. I'm not your real dad.